So what do we got here?
This is an AUG, Steyr Aug. Is this their most modern version?
It's an updated version, takes AR mags versus original AUG mags, so the mags are plentiful and they're easy to acquire.
I would be very interested to try this with the original AUG mag, because there's, with these standard AR mags, that's nice for us as consumers, but I feel like there's some features that were lost there, and so I'd just be interested in trying the original mag.
Yeah. How reliable was it?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was really surprised at how reliable it was.
Yeah.
A lot of rifles only run brass, I feel like, especially older rifles like this.
Yeah.
And we had brass, steel, and we did not have a single ammo-related malfunction.
I mean, this gun now doesn't have a lot of rounds, 1,500 rounds to it. With that, I think we've only had 2 malfunctions, and they're both not really the gun's fault. When we were shooting left-handed, the ejection port is right next to your face, so we had a piece of brass hit us in the face.
Which
then
sucks, by the way.
Yeah. And then
This is not
left-handed.
left-handed friendly.
So I think as long as you're right-handed, when we all shot this right-handed, we had no issue.
Oh, mother.
Just keep going.
No, I reduced the malfunction. I'm getting fucking fat lipped by it. This thing sucks.
Wait.
Bounced off my cheek and went back into the rifle. Look at that double feed. It's definitely reliable to the point where if something were to happen with it, I wouldn't blame the gun. I'd go to the mag or the ammo or anything else. I wouldn't even, the design of the gun is fine, totally reliable. I think the thing off the face back into the ejection port, I'd be interested to see if it could ever do that again. Or see, like, talk to maybe those armies that use it and see if that's something that they've noticed. Because
yeah, speaking on that, I think 35 different militaries around the world use this gun or have at some point. 15 major law enforcement agencies. I think the U.S. Border Patrol used it for a minute before they switched it out.
no lefties in the Border Patrol?
No lefties are...
Or in those other countries?
When you're working for the government, there is no such thing as a left-handed person. You're all right-handed.
Brutal.
Right? They don't exist. You're not issued left-handed.
So is America the only country with the left-hand disability?
Yeah. How shootable would you guys say this is?
It was pretty shootable. Being new to a LPVO, the eye box on that could be tricky. Yeah, I'd say it's pretty shootable. The trigger,
So
it's not as bad as I expected, because I hear everyone talk about how awful bullpup triggers are, but it was by no means good.
I think for what
Dang.
when I was trying to zero this, the trigger was not great. But when we were out here running drills, I'd say it's okay for practical use in close quarters, but it's not something I'm going to be using for long-range precision shooting. And this isn't what this gun's designed for.
So zeroing rifles, handguns, anything is probably my least favorite thing about shooting. So I just let these guys do it. So I never had experience, like actually trying to bench rest it. But for the actual drills we were shooting, this is the kind of trigger I'd like. I don't need or want a really lightweight trigger.
That's fair.
And
They're definitely not going to do it. This is a fighting rifle. I mean, the armies aren't going to have, a 2-pound Geisley trigger in it. And if it was available for it, I still wouldn't buy it. I like this guy right here.
The only thing, I wish it had a trigger guard that actually covered underneath the trigger.
Yeah, there's no reason for them not to have a device right here to just block the trigger. I mean, yes, there is a safety on it. It's not a handgun, but there's no reason for them to have designed it that way. This isn't like ultimately comfortable to have it designed the way it is right now, and I just kind of wish they would change it. No reason not to.
Yeah.
There are some definitely older aspects of this firearm, but the vertical foregrip, I normally don't like those, especially on ARs. they're just not my thing. This one I was pleasantly surprised by. Totally usable. No, it moves up and down. When it's locked down, it's like solid. So yeah, I was pretty surprised by that. I had always kind of just assumed this was gimmicky, and it was actually very useful.
I'd agree with that.
I respectfully disagree with both of you. I found myself, I do the same thing with the AR-15s, which this is not an AR-15, very clear on that. But I think a lot of people shoot like this. And you still can with this, it's just you have to be wearing a glove because this sucker gets hot. And that's the way that was comfortable for me. And it could be definitely improved.
So I was agreeing on I didn't know how well the actual built-in grip or vertical grip was going to be. What you just said about how you more C-clamp it and use it as a enlarged hand stop, I think that's what I like doing on most of my guns.
C-clamping this is a no-go.
Well,
unless you have a glove.
Yeah, because when we started shooting it a lot, it started getting hot, and if you have a glove on, it's manageable. If you don't have a glove on, your hand's gonna get burned.
It's manageable. Then my gloves got wet because it was raining today, and just like the gloves being wet, the heat transferred faster, and I was starting to get pretty hot with that too. But whatever, it's definitely usable, and as an actual proper grip like this, it's very comfortable. That's just not how I shoot. So if it is how you shoot, then
so I think during those drills we all ran it prone at some point. How is it prone?
You can shoot prone, it's fine.
I think it's a little awkward.
It is a little awkward shooting prone.
If you practice it enough, you can do it. But if you're transferring from another platform, it gets weird. So it just takes practice. I
agree with that.
Because if you have a traditional firearm where the magazine's in front of the trigger guard, you can use that magazine to rest as a monopod. Here, if you do it in the back, the muzzle does want to go down.
So, that's how the modern technique of shooting AR-15s again is dropping that magazine all the way down. You can't do it with this, and so that's not.
And that's not just a comparison against AR.
I keep comparing it. It's not an AR-15.
AK, AR, MP5, any of those guns where the magazine's in front of the trigger guard.
Reloads.
Reloads are probably where I think this has the biggest shortcoming. What did you guys experience with that?
So.
Okay, so reloading sucks with it. It's
sucks.
Garbage. It really just is. I don't really care. It's a fighting rifle. You reload behind cover. I don't think it's super applicable. Like the chance of you like running into an alley, seeing an enemy right there, both aiming at each other, realizing you're out of ammo, and like having a race to reload, get your next round on target. Like if you have this, you're gonna lose. But that's not a super realistic situation. You got 30 rounds in the magazine like this for civilians and like armies that actually train in squad tactics and everything. I don't think it's a big deal. It is very slow. A lot of the reason it's slow though is because of just the optic that we chose on this. Like it's the way that you drop the chamber is that you kind of have to come back here and you have to get a little bit further back and fully release it. It's not going to do that because this mag's empty. Just like that, and that will drop it. You could get pretty fast at that. None of us are fast at it because we don't shoot the AUG a lot. If you dry fired with it, you could really get proficient at that. Probably get down to like 2 seconds-ish, which is fine for, again, a combat rifle. We're all hitting like 6 seconds. I think you had the fastest one on like
4.5 or something. I think
you could really cut that in half.
And I think with that, if like that scenario happened, draw a handgun and use your handgun if you're in that race to reload your gun. If you're in a team environment, is everyone on your team running out of ammo at the same time? I don't know, but hopefully another guy's covering you while you spend 4 seconds to reload the gun. And like you said, if you practice this, you can get down faster.
I would say you could definitely practice and get the reload down, but it would take more practice than it would with many other.
You'll never get AR-15.
You just won't. Even AK.
AR-15 AK.
That's just where it's
maybe any other rifle besides this one. Reload my grandpa's 30-30.
So this gun does not come with iron sights or any optic. It comes with a pigtail rail on top, which is great because you can add whatever you want. Now, earlier we ran a EOTech on it. I wasn't the biggest fan of that because, like we said with this one, it got in the way of that charging handle. I think I'd rather run like a Aimpoint T2 or a micro red dot on it where it does not get in the way of that charging handle. I also probably would not run a LVPO on it. So a micro red dot's probably the best option for that. Or would you guys agree?
I would agree with that.
Okay.
And if you're buying a $2,000 rifle, I feel like a T1 or T2 is reasonable.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, just get it north of $3,000 right away.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. If that's what you're going to drop on your rifle, why not?
And
So when you're bringing the rifle up, LPVOs aren't great for this because, again, there's ways around this, but the eye box is pretty bad right here. You kind of have to lean forward on it, and then you're really getting in the way of the charging handle. For a red dot, you can put it anywhere on here, and it'd be totally fine. There's not much room, so if you put irons on here, backup irons or whatnot, they're going to be pretty close together, so they're not going to be, you know, hyper accurate.
I
I
probably
don't know if it matters though.
Yeah, I probably would just get a nice red dot and not worry about irons. Most red dots don't die if you get good red dots, despite what people say. The statement of irons never fail is just false. I've seen front sights break off on iron sights, I've seen rear sights pop off. So just get a good red dot or a good optic to begin with and Loctite it on.
Yeah.
What role do you guys see this being used for?
I see it a close quarter roll, CQB roll.
Pushing doors open like this, coming around.
Yeah, if you're
keeping it tight.
primarily working in a vehicle, it could be easier to use that than a full-size rifle. So
You guys see how, like, I mean, it's unloaded, sure, but like I'm able to just like totally maneuver it around. That's because it's balanced as well as it is. Like an AR-15 is a little bit front heavy. Maybe some of them aren't, but I mean, you're not able to do this. Like, this is nuts.
yeah,
It feels really good. You get locked in your shoulder, you come around a wall or something, and it's just, it feels good. The index is really good with it. It points where you want it to, just like any other rifle, but kind of didn't think that would be the case for a bullpup. And like you were saying earlier,
something I noticed when they would take off running, their other hand could come off and they were running in a more natural position. Whereas with a traditional layout like AR, AK, both hands are almost always on that firearm. And so here, if you're doing something, maybe you have a support roll, I could see this being very practical because it's just more compact and easier to wield if you're trying to manage something else in the process.
yeah, let's say you're a medic, right? And you can really cinch this tight, keep it all the way in front of your torso, and you can use both your hands. You can carry stuff, you can do whatever. It's a good rifle for that. A lot of these, again, any kind of other rifle, they just kind of hang down here. It doesn't really matter how, even if you try to get it real tight, like it's kind of a beast to get out of that position, and this one's
And
not.
you still get the full ballistics of a rifle barrel instead of like an SBR length.
yeah. And if you're working where you're concerned someone might be wearing body armor, having that 16-inch barrel versus a 10-inch barrel does come into play because velocity beats body armor. So having that longer barrel would be important. So attachments on this gun, you are going to be limited. It does have a QD sling mount up front, so you can add a sling here, one in the back. Now, if we're trying to add light, basically the only thing you could really add is probably a white light to this side. You don't really have much room to add IR laser or anything like that. Now,
Better be creative.
Yeah, it does come with the vertical grip we talked about earlier, so you don't really have to add one there. But really the only thing you're adding is a optic and a white light in the sling.
Yeah.
Right? It's not really something that,
You're not going to trick this out
yeah.
like you can with some other firearms.
And which is good, because I'll see guys trick their guns out, never shoot them, and they're super heavy and they don't want to shoot them because
Yeah.
So you can keep this pretty minimalist by just a red dot and a light. Disassembly on this gun, not too bad. Just another learning
Can't
curve.
you just push that button, the barrel comes out?
So yeah, if we lock it to the rear and actually push that button, the barrel comes out. So theoretically, you could get a different caliber. I think 300 blackout or something
the
else.
actual frame though.
Yeah. So it's not too hard to disassemble. Then the bolt comes out. It's just something else you're gonna have to learn. But once you learn it, it's really not too bad.
If you're down to SBR this,
yeah,
get it even shorter. This is cool.
if you're a truck gun kind of person,
Yeah.
it fit in an even tighter space with that.
Like I'm saying, the ability, like what I was doing earlier with it, like that translates to like good handling in the vehicle. Something that I could see myself doing if the world ended, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Feels really good, and you get a full length barrel. It's
So
another way to do
yeah,
it.
16-inch barrel with the flash hider. It's 18 something. So right here, even if you SVR'd it, maybe you can take it extra inch and a half off. So there's not much to actually SBR, but you still get a full rifle barrel. So
The price tag on this sucker.
yeah,
That's the only reason I wouldn't buy it.
that's
Yeah.
if
It's the only reason I'm not going home and buying one, honestly.
The only reason I don't think a lot of people are getting this is the price tag is $2,200. It's like $21.99 MSRP. I don't know what the actual street price is, so it is pricey.
We're talking Russian built AK pricing. We're talking, you know, top tier AR-15 manufactured pricing.
Like SCAR.
If you have money for
maybe not, no,
if you have money for a
maybe close.
F-150 King Ranch, maybe you got money for this.
Yeah. This can be your King Ranch shotgun.
Yeah.
If you're a one rifle kind of guy, which more power to you, this could be a really good one to get.
I'd agree with that.
I would, if you said that this is the one rifle that you bought, I'd be like, that's badass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you actually shoot it, because if you get someone who buys that, gets a decent red dot, and then puts a ton of rounds to it, I think they'll be pretty proficient with it, and that they'll be great.
There's definitely
one reload won them. They'll lose.
Yeah.
This definitely changed my opinion on bullpups.
Yeah.
I get it.
100%.
Yeah, I get it. There are definitely perks that you do not get from a traditional rifle. I do think they take a little bit more training, just practice to get familiar with than a traditional rifle. But if that's something you're aware of and like you're willing to put in the time and effort to do that,
I think most people like practicing.
Right.
So, yay or nay? Would you take it?
If I was in a situation where I need the perks that come with a bullpup and I had the money, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm 100% on board with it. I love it. Really, there's not much that I don't like about it besides the price. Kind of wish they would change some stuff so that price would keep going up, because I would change some things on it. So we're talking $2,200 plus, you know, another $200 for a slightly different way to C-clamp it up front, which I'm sure they make them. You're just adding cost to the rifle then. Talking a really expensive red dot because you can't run any other kind of optic on there. I mean, you could do a sight riser or something, but you're just adding more cost to it.
So
you need to do some funky ways of mounting that are reliable, like for a flashlight. You could put it on that one ramp right there, but you could also have like the things that hold it off to the side, the self-rated 15s, that would work, but you're just adding more and more cost to it.
Right.
So I won't do it, but I do like the rifle a lot. A lot.
I think mission drives the gear, right? So depends what you're going for. It's not a long-range precision gun, but for most people, that's not what they're going for. Home defense, self-defense vehicle gun. If you're working in close quarters, most of the time, I think it's going to be great. If you're in close quarters and you're worried about someone with body armor, you have more velocity with the longer barrel. So I would get it. It just depends what your goal is.
SRO, smoking some dude with this.
Yeah.
I could see that actually.
Yeah,
Man, you got kids you have to navigate through a school as an SRO. You're like pushing kids all the way or something. And you need a more compact firearm to begin with.
Any sort of police officer, really, because they do so much work in vehicles, around vehicles. You get out, you're next to your vehicle, you go into a building, you're in a building, like that's the heart and soul of CQB stuff that is actually happening out there against active shooters or whatnot is what cops do, and that's a good rifle for it.
Yeah.
I'd rather see them all carrying that besides AR-15s, like the long rifles that you see sometimes. But I mean,
because there's that.
Those are ergonomic and they have their own advantages also. But
I think it's down in Florida. There was 2 school resource officers that got hired on or something, and they're carrying something similar. It was a much cheaper version, but I'd rather take this over.
Yeah.
I think it started with a K and ended with.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, but.
Did it work?
I don't know. They haven't had to use them. Luckily.
One probably worked great. One probably was a dumpster fire.
Yeah. So if
one flawless, one terrible.
Like other companies tried to mimic this, right? Keltec, that's the one I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'd definitely take this over Keltec.
There's competitive options though.
Yeah.
This makes me want to go out and try other bullpups.
To get your hands on a Tavor, could we compare the two of those?
That'd be neat. Because the only
those have some things that I would.
The only other bullpup I'd ever shot was a thin PS90. I mean, close quarters, but this here, you get actual rifle ballistics versus 5.7 by 28, still a pistol cartridge.